Hola amigos, Tony Yapias aquí desde el Capitolio del Estado de Utah haciéndoles llegar lo último que está pasando aquí. A continuación van a ver la conferencia de prensa del día de hoy del representante Sandstrom, que pues menciona algunos cambios que está haciendo su propuesta. Entre ellos es uno que dice, ¿no?, de que está bajando los tipos de crímenes a crímenes menores y a discreción de los policías, lo cual para nosotros simplemente quiere decir que las mamás de soccer moms, que le llamamos nosotros, o las mamás de fútbol, si un policía a discreción del policía quiere arrestarlo, si quiere preguntarle su estado migratorio, va a poder hacerlo. Entonces, pues les invito a que vean el video de la conferencia de prensa y así saber un poquito más de todo lo que pasó aquí en el Capitolio. También les invito mañana, viernes, a las 2 de la tarde, a estar aquí presente en el Capitolio, en el edificio West, que está en este lado, que lo ven. Ahí a partir de las 2 va a haber el primer debate sobre su propuesta de ley del representante Sandstrom, lo cual han reservado el cuarto más grande para esta audiencia pública que va a hacer. Entonces los grupos antiinmigrantes van a estar en fuerza y también nosotros, lo cual les invitamos.
I guess we'll go right down to it. I think you can go ahead and hang. Do you have the copy? Go hang that one up. We got several copies. I don't know if we have enough. I think I have about 20 copies, but I'll go right to the meat of the changes. The most significant change, first and foremost, is the bill originally made it require law enforcement officers, the word shall, that enforcing any law in the state of Utah, where there's a municipal code or any other law, they had to attempt to verify the immigration status of an individual if they believe, based on reasonable suspicion, that that person was in the country illegally. After consulting with law enforcement, they asked that they could have more latitude or more discretion on how they administer this law. And so as a result, the change to the bill is now, if it is a B or C misdemeanor, B or C class misdemeanor, law enforcement, the wording's changed to may attempt to verify the immigration status of that person. It remains for class A felonies. Felonies and class A misdemeanors will still require the attempted verification of the person that is presumed unlawfully present in the United States. Now, why would we do this? Well, first off, we need to look that we're trying to catch the criminal element in the illegal community. That's the ones we want the most. And quite frankly, right now, if we take all the people's names that have been here and they haven't committed a felony, they are not a criminal re-entrant into the United States or have not overstayed a visa, most likely ICE will not take custody of that person. And so to take in people just for the purpose of taking them in when we know ICE will not necessarily take custody of them is something that the bill is not intended to do. So basically, B or C misdemeanors, the officer will have the discretion. And I guess the best way to look at it is, let's say that somebody that, let's say the person came here to the United States when they were 2 years old with their parents, and they haven't violated a single law, and they're driving to work with a busted taillight, they get pulled over. The original version of the bill would require them to be detained, taken down, fingerprinted, photographed, and then information sent to ICE. Now, in all likelihood, that person would not be held by ICE. And so, what have we accomplished if that happens? This will give discretion to law enforcement. If the person is somebody that's belligerent, is not cooperative, they still have that option to take them in. However, if a person's cooperative and they give information freely and they do not feel that they're a threat, then they can go ahead and let them go. Now, many will be accusing me of watering down the bill, and I would say that presumption is inaccurate. In fact, I think it was Mr. Merrill from the Sutherland Institute said I'm trying to water down my bill. This does not water down the bill in any way. The deterrent is still there because you don't know if you are going to be taken into question. It still gives law enforcement discretion. So the penalty is not changed. It just gives that discretion to law enforcement officers. The biggest, I think the biggest factor why I'm running this bill is that we need to discourage more people to come into this country illegally, to the state illegally. This will be and is a deterrent for people to come to the state of Utah illegally. Will this solve the problem of illegal immigration in this state or this country? It's not going to solve it, but it's a great first step. It's going a long way to do that. I'll talk about a couple of other changes that are also very significant. We're going to change and actually define what constitutes reasonable suspicion. Instead of just leaving it be the broad reasonable suspicion, so somebody has to make the determination, does that person look illegal? It defines what is reasonable suspicion. What is that? The law will define it as not having a valid Utah driver's license, not having a valid state ID, tribal card, and it lists a very types of identification that will be, if you don't have those, will be the basis for the reasonable suspicion. We're not leaving the door wide open. So this will cut down on the amount of abuses for people saying that they were stopped or detained just because they looked a certain way, because that is not in any way the intention of this bill. There's a few other technical changes in the bill. A couple of technical changes asked for by Workforce Services. They wanted to be able to allow for an electronic signature when they sign the affidavit under penalty of perjury that they are lawfully present in the United States and eligible for benefits. It required a wet signature. A lot of the renewal for this stuff is done over the internet, and so we're going to allow for an electronic signature to alleviate costs with Workforce Services on that front. Beyond that, that's really the changes. And like I said, once again, discretion, I think, works out very well. This bill is in no way being watered down. The enforcement aspects of it remain absolutely the same. Now, one thing I just might talk about why we do need this bill. Based on the most recent statistics, Utah, in the 10th District, 10th Circuit Court, Utah is second only to New Mexico for criminal re-entrance into the state. These are people that have been deported. This is the felons. This is the real bad people. They're deported out of the United States. We are second only to New Mexico for cases of criminal re-entry into the United States. And if you added us with the 9th Circuit, which takes in Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, the entire west coast of the United States, if you add us in with the 10th and the 9th Circuit, Utah is still third in the country for the amount of criminal re-entrance back into the state of Utah. And why is that? It's because we have an atmosphere in the state of Utah that allows for people that are in this country illegally to operate freely and at will. And we have to have a deterrent. We have to start somewhere. This bill is a start, is something in the right direction, a step in the right direction. With that, I think I'm just going to let Representative Terry make a quick comment and Eli Cowley from the Minutemen Project. We have representatives here from the Coalition on Immigration Reform. We have people here representing the Tea Party movement, the 912 Association, and also we have a comment from the Immigration Reform Law Institute out of Washington, D.C. that has reviewed this bill. They agree that this bill meets the goals that we want to deter illegal immigration, is a very tough bill, along with the issues of workforce services and government benefit parts of the bill. And they fully support the changes being made to this bill. And I think that, this idea that we're watering down the bill is nothing more than an attempt by the opposition to cast aspersions to break up this coalition of people that have come together to say we need something done, and we need it done now. Also,